Hello, everybody. The Torah records in our Parsha the travels of Am Yisrael as they head towards Eretz Yisrael. By Yisumi Kadesh Hayavo B'nei Yisrael, Kol Ha'edah Har Hahar. Jewish people traveled from Kadesh and they came, the entire people, to a place called Har Hahar. The obvious question is, why is it called literally in double terminology, Har Hahar, the mountain of the mountain? There are those who would explain that the mountain was actually called Har, but this question is raised and explained by the Medrash as cited by Rashi. Har al Gabe Har. This was an unusual mountain, one mountain being placed on top of the other. Kitapuach katan al gabe tapuach gadol, like one might have a large apple, and upon it one places a smaller apple. A question is both raised and answered by a medrash. We know that afal pi sheha'anan holech lifneihem mashpil et hagavoa umagbia et hashafel, the cloud, Hashem's cloud of glory that escorted Am Yisrael and led them through the desert, also provided a tremendous service to them. During the rigors of desert travel, if there was ever an elevated mountainous area, the cloud would flatten it, and vice versa. If there was suddenly a pitted, deep ravine of some sort, the cloud would miraculously fill it in, so that basically there were no potholes, there were no high mountains to have to traverse. It was flat travel for Am Yisrael, making it easier for them. However, if that is the case, then there is no Har Hahar. It should have been flattened like all the others. But the Medrash tells us that the cloud, Hiniach Shlosha Harim, 3 mountains were left as they had been. What were those 3 mountains? Har Sinai Lashchina, Mount Sinai for Hashem's presence there. Well, that's how the Midrashim put it, but Rashi, as he often does, made a slight change in the text, I think in order to explain what do we mean Har Sinai for the Shekhinah, but rather, says Rashi, Har Sinai La Torah, that was the locus of Matan Torah, so the mountain remained. The Har Nevo Likfurat Moshe, and Har Hahar in our Parsha, Likfurat Aharon for Aaron, as we read in the Parsha, was to be buried on Har Hahar. That answers the question regarding the normative power of the cloud of glory. However, it raises a different question. And that question is, why was Moshe's burial place on a regular mountain, Har Nevo, and Aaron merited Har Hahar, a double mountain, a mountain on top of a mountain? In order to answer this question, we should take a look at the record of the death of Aaron and the death of Moses. Vayiru kol ha'edah ki gava Aharon, vayivku et Aharon 30 yom. The entirety of the people saw that Aaron had passed away, and they mourned and cried and lamented Aaron's death for 30 years. The point being that it was Kol Beit Yisrael, as the pasuk ends. Everybody mourned Aaron's death. When Moshe died sometime later, we read Vayivku b'nei Yisrael et Moshe. And Rashi explains, why does it say only Vayivku b'nei Yisrael, and it doesn't say there Kol ha'edah, or it doesn't say Kol Beit Yisrael? So Rashi notes, when Moshe died, those people who joined his Daf Yomi shir, some of the men, they're the ones who cried over the death of Moshe. In the case of Aharon, however, it was Kol Beit Yisrael, Anashim v'Nashim, men and women. And why was that? Brings Rashi, Mitoch shahaya rodef shalom, v'notein shalom bein ish l'reyehu, uvein isha l'ba'ala. As we all are familiar, Aaron personified the idea of Avas Yisrael, seeking to engender peace amongst the people, between neighbors and colleagues and friends and whatnot, and husbands and wives as well. And therefore, everybody cried upon his demise. The Rebbe of Lubavitch, of Menachem Mendel Schneerson Zatzal, has a very interesting application to our original question. He says, look, as a general rule, people are supposed to be meek, humble, not loud and gregarious, not self-promoting all the time. That's the proper manner of behavior. But when it comes to Torah study, and the promotion of Torah, one has to be bold. One has to stand very strongly upon his points of belief. And that's represented by Har Sinai. The mountain tells us, don't be flat. You have to rise up in your pursuit of Torah. That's Har Sinai, and it's also Moshe's burial place of Har Nevo, for he was Moshe Rabbeinu. He taught us Torah, Torat Moshe. However, when it came to Aharon, if for Torah in general, one has to stand tall like a mountain, when it comes to the pursuit of Ahavat Yisrael, one has to go even further. Har al gabe har, tapuach katan placed even on top of the tapuach gadol. One has to be even more bold, even more committed, with greater conviction to pursue and to promote and to bring about Ahavat Yisrael, a trait that sadly is terribly and sorely missed in our day. Each of us, in our own small personal way, perhaps can seek to be a little bit more bold as Talmidim of Aaron HaKohen and become a Har HaHar, to stand up steadfast and tall, to promote Ahavat Torah and Hashkanat Shalom Bein Adam L'Chavero. Shabbat Shalom.